Everyone talks about sales engineering like it's a myth. Like, it's amazing. These are all these great things about sales engineering. And a lot of it is just pure bull. So, here are some truths about sales engineering. Most SEs suck at their job. If you look at the bell curve, we're not exactly a bell curve. There's a few great SEs. The horrible SEs don't generally last. And there's a lot of SEs that are not in the middle, they're less than the middle. And it's not their fault, it's just they've never been trained, they've never been told what a good SE looks like. I have been an SE in 2 companies and no one ever told me how to be an SE. I had to start a podcast to learn it. And I've realized that there's a lot of SEs, even if they've been on the job for 20 years, they suck at it. If you're one of those SEs watching this video, then this probably doesn't apply to you. Mainly because you are looking to improve. Why would you watch this video if you're not looking to improve? And if you're an SE manager, maybe you can share this with your people who you think, share with everybody, not those you think who sucks. Sales engineering is not all it's cracked up to be. Many SEs, when I ask them, many aspiring SEs, when I ask them, why do you want to be an SE? They say, I like working with people, I like technology. That's the standard answer. Working with people is hard. I've said this a million times. Debugging humans is much harder than debugging technology. So, if you're working with people, it might be very difficult. It might not be fun. And I've worked with many SEs, not as clients, but colleagues, who lasted 4 months and then they decided to do something else. Especially generalist SEs, that's the hardest type of SE because you're not an expert in anything. You're an inch deep and a mile wide. So if you work for a company like Cisco, you have 7,000 products you need to remember. Not to mention all the products that they acquire from other companies. And you're going to have to go talk about it with people as if you're the expert. Obviously, there are people who are specialists that you can bring in. But many people want to do things themselves, especially engineers. And that's part of the reasons why some SEs are bad. They try to do everything themselves and they fail. Whereas one of the major skills for SEs is leveraging other people. The role changes from one company to another, even if it's in the same industry. One company I worked with, I was pure pre-sales. Another company, pre-sales do both, pre-sales and post-sales. The processes are different. One company, actually both didn't have a demo process, but one is much harder to get. So if you're an SE, make sure you're in the right industry that you want to be in, doing the SE things that you want to be doing. Also, if you work, some SEs are very technical, in a very technical industry, and some SEs are not. And the more technical you are, the more you get paid. So don't think if you're an SE in one company, it's going to be the same at another company. And don't think if you're a good SE in one company, you're going to be good in another company, because it's totally different and you're going to have to deal with things differently. Some salespeople will try to treat SEs as sales support, as a free resource they can use. Not all of them, but some of them will see you as just someone who's there to help, or someone who's there to dump their work on them. I've seen salespeople ask their SEs to just build the entire proposal presentation, which is like, we're supposed to build the bill of material, it's supposed to help with the proposal, but the accountability, the ownership of the proposal belongs to the salesperson. I've seen that happen. I personally have had salespeople ask me to go upgrade some stuff for the customer on site, even though it's not the best use of my time and it's not my job, which, like I said earlier, I hate it when people say that. Welcome to day 2 of recording this video. Many tasks can be replaced by AI, and that's a good thing. AI can replace certain things. You can even automate some things, like if you do a hardware tour demo every time, why? But also you can record it and just reuse it instead of you having to be on the call every time. That's one. AI can do the things that we don't want to do. RFP responses, for example. There are companies that are doing that already. So I believe AI will replace some of the transactional things that we do as SEs, and even so it might replace SEs as a whole. And when it comes to small, medium businesses, if they're not adding value to a deal, if it's just repeating the same things. If you feel yourself doing the same thing over and over, then you're easily replaced. If you feel yourself doing different things to close a deal, then you're not replaceable. And that is the truth about AI. Truths 6 and 7 have to do with management. One being management will ask you to do things that may not make sense. So that's 6. 7, management can make your life miserable if you're unlucky. For example, what do you mean by management's going to ask you to do things that don't make sense? You're an SE, you know what you're doing your job, and management decides, you know what, every SE should book 6 meetings on their own every week. All right, that would be great, except I'm an enterprise SE working with one customer over and over. So where am I going to come up with 6 meetings? That's just an example. Or you have to log every conversation you have with your customer on Salesforce. I'm happy to log some conversations that make sense, but I don't want to log every single one. And what does that lead to? That leads to compliance or blind compliance, or I don't know what the term is called actually. But basically, you end up doing what they're asking you to do, even though it's not actually helpful. I will book meetings that make no sense, that will actually have no impact other than wasting my time just because management decided that's what we want. Or I've had people, like in the past, previous company, my leadership decided every SE has to input at least 25 tasks into Salesforce, or 25 events or logs or notes. So a lot of the SEs, what they ended up doing is connecting Salesforce to their email, and now every time they send an email out, it's logged as a task. So some of them have 300 tasks. Are any of them useful? No. But we just complied with whatever the management wanted, and no one got better. Now, the second thing is management can make your life miserable. SEs are so dependent on management because we, like I mentioned earlier, we work with a lot of different people, and sometimes we need our management to have our back. If a salesperson tells my manager that I'm not doing a good job, I want my manager to come and actually defend me. Like, no, Ramsey's actually doing an amazing job. He's doing this and that. You're doing a bad job. Maybe not that like that, but something to that effect. So when that doesn't always happen, some managers are weak and they just won't answer. I received a call in the middle of my speech. I was saying, some managers will not actually protect you. I've talked to many managers or many SEs who get yelled at by their manager because their account manager said something negative about them without actually being true. For example, one of the people I worked with, they actually received a beratement. Beratement? Is that a word? They were yelled at by their manager because they wouldn't create a proposal presentation. Note that this SE was supporting 10 other AEs, and she provided the bill of materials. So she didn't really have to do the proposal. It's not part of her job to create the presentation for the proposal. And again, I don't like that it's not my job, but she has other things to do. She is supporting 10 other AEs who are asking for different stuff, who are asking for things that are within her job description. So if she can't do the proposal, her SE manager is supposed to be her advocate for that and tell the AE to do it themselves. But they didn't. Yesterday I had a story where, and I heard a story from a colleague where an AE made him sit and wait for a customer even though he didn't have an appointment. Just wait in the lobby. This is like an old thing that they used to do when there were lobbies and people used to go to the work office and just sit there. And when they got into a fight, no one was there to support him. Luckily, that SE was experienced enough to actually be able to hold his ground. And when that account manager's manager came to talk to him, the SE was able to actually get through and hold his ground. So when you're looking for a job, if you currently have a good manager, that's great. If you have a bad manager, move, because they might make your life miserable. Also, you may have a good manager today, they might leave, and you'd have a bad manager tomorrow. It happened to me. Now, similarly, some customers will actually treat you horribly as an SE. Customers will be mean to you, be rude to you. They think they're entitled. I've been in situations where we're working with a very strategic customer and we had access to the building. So we'd show up, we'd go in, we'd have a meeting at 10. The customer would not show up until like a couple hours later. I've had one time where he showed up at 12. And then he said, if you don't do what I'm asking you to do, I'm just going to go with a competitor. And then he walked away. We were supposed to be working on a proof of concept together. Obviously, that's early on in my career where we didn't have proof of concept plans or anything. We just showed up and did whatever we did. But some customers will take advantage of that. Some customers think they're entitled to treat you like crap because they pay your company for their services and solutions, and you're just now their gopher. So you're going to have to develop the thick skin to say, and the strength to say no. And that's what I did. And what's funny, I was there with a colleague of mine. So this is the longer story, I guess. We went there the first day, we did that. And then at 3 p.m., he was still not in the meeting and we got it working. So I had to find them. We found him in a meeting room and he basically said, well, come back at 10 tomorrow and help me cable, because again, I work in IT. Help me connect Ethernet ports between all these different things that we're doing. So I told him, fine, I'm happy to do it. I have a meeting at 11. I did not have a meeting at 11, but I told him I have a meeting at 11 just to see if he would actually, if that would make a difference. And my colleague was with me. We show up the next day at 10. He doesn't come by until 10:30 when I went searching for him, reminding him that I have a meeting at 11. And then we went and actually plugged in, cabled a bunch of stuff. And then at 11, I said, I'm sorry, I gotta go. But my colleague, who was more experienced than me, chickened out and said, I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna do this. They didn't buy from us anyways. They weren't going to buy from us. So some customers will treat you like crap. And this is a pet peeve of mine. Well, it's the way things are. I don't think I can change it, but it's still a pet peeve. Your quota is given to you by upper management and you're dependent on sales to hit it. You can never control your quota. I mean, sometimes you're in a group quota, so it makes things easier. But most of my life, most of my career, my quota has been tied one-to-one with my account manager. So if he does well, I do well. And as an SE, I can find opportunities. I can do whatever it takes to close the technical part of it. The salesperson still has to bring in the PO and bring in the PO in a timely fashion. If they don't do it, you're not going to hit your quota, and that affects your performance. And I talked about quota versus management by objective last week. So check that out if you want. I'll leave it somewhere up here. The last one. Oh, before I get to the last one, if you're liking this video, like, share, and subscribe. If you're looking for coaching, check out the hotline. The link is below. Number 10, you're not as hands-on as you'd like. A lot of people who are thinking about becoming SEs fear that they're going to lose their technical know-how. They might not lose the technical know-how, but they might lose more of their hands-on. Like in terms of coding, they might get more hands-on in terms of configuration. They will have a bigger picture view rather than, okay, I'm a coder, I'm going to code this feature in. The SE will have an idea about the entire thing. They might not be able to code it, but they would have a holistic idea of the solution. So if you like to be very hands-on, it's not for you. If you like to think about strategy and see the holistic picture, it's perfect thing for you. Solution engineering, sales engineering, pre-sales, whatever you want to call it, is still the best job that I've ever had. And I've done support, I've done network design, I've done sales. I still
think sales engineering is the best job in the world. You get to make money without the stress of sales. And I'm not saying that SEs don't work. SEs have a lot of work to do. They probably overworked more. They work more than salespeople. But if they don't hit their quota, it's the salesperson to blame, not the SE. It's the salesperson who are at risk, not the SE. And you get to talk to people when you want to, and you get to work on your demos and do your own thing when you want to. So that's it. I hope you like the video. Again, like, share, and subscribe. Looking for coaching, check out the SE hotline. If you, for yourself, for your SE team, you're looking for consultation, you want to perform better as an SE, you want your team to perform better as an SE, you don't even have an SE team and you want to build one, come and talk to me. I'm happy to talk about that. Get back to work.